Something's wrong, I feel it circling like vultures around my brain. Couldn't see the danger in your eyes. Draw me in, got me spinning now like water to a drain. You were perfect till I realized you hadn't shown your face. You sing a pretty song to drag my heart along, a siren serenade. You're ringing out your prey. Your lungs are wrecking, you know it's wrong. I was deaf to the ringing bells, wanting me to break, deafened by the sirens' soothing lies. I can't leave, I am in too deep, been sinking for a while, prisoner to the same thing I despise, devoted to a fake. You sing a pretty song to drag my heart along, a siren serenade. You're ringing out your prey. Your lungs are wrecking, you know it's wrong. It's over, same story. You lose to love and glory. It's over, same story. You lose to love and glory. You sing a pretty song to drag my heart along, a siren serenade. You're ringing out your prey. Your lungs are wrecking, you know it's wrong. It's over, same story. You lose to love and glory. It's over, same story. You lose to love and glory.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Midweek Mix-Up podcast. I am your host, of course, the WandrinDutch. Of course, I've got my fighting gentlemen here, Xbox Mick, Shombalon, and Boxenberger. Both Shom and Mick are currently AFK, so I'm going to go to Boxy first for the intros. I hope everyone is well today. There's been some developments, let's put it that way. Some fun developments and a big topic to speak about today. No doubt it'll be a feisty and fiery one. There's a lot to say on it, but we will get into it. But before we do, of course, we'll get to the intros and what we've been playing. And of course, everybody in the chat, let's hear what you've been playing as well. Have you had a chance to jump onto GHOSTWIRE Tokyo before the show? Or at all yet? or will you be playing it later on? For those who haven't played it on PlayStation, of course. But Boxy, how are you doing today, sir? What you been up to? What have you been playing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. So little stress from work, but other than that, all is okay. So I've been playing, honestly, a lot of games. Needed some distraction.
Yeah.
You know, my grandfather passed away last Friday, so I distracted myself a little bit with gaming, of course. I played a lot of Mario Kart.
Yes.
You know, the kids and I were hyped. We had already booked our tickets for the Mario movie we went last Sunday. So we played Mario Kart and New Super Mario Brothers 2 a lot because you can play that co-op, you know.
Nice.
It's pretty awesome, honestly. We're playing that with the kids, and then we went to see the movie. We had a blast with that. Then, of course, Age of Empires, man.
Yeah.
You know me. I didn't talk much about Age the last 2 weeks, so that's always a sign. I have not talked about it.
Yeah. I know
haven't
you've
talked
played
about
it. I know you've played it because you were on the Age of Empires the other night. I know you were.
Yeah, I'm always on. That's the thing. But if I don't talk about it, you know, it's usually doesn't go well.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know what happened, dude. I stick with my theory that servers are still full. Yeah, so it's really easy to find a match. Waiting queue times maximum a minute, which is pretty awesome for an RTS game that long into its life cycle. So the servers are still full. But boy, did people become good.
Yeah.
Jesus. If you compare, I went back. I watched 2 matches I recorded in season 1.
Yeah.
And I was ranked at gold level tier 1, gold tier 1, gold tier 2, somewhere in between that in season 1. And if I would have used that strategy and the way how I played at that time, I would not be in gold 2 today. I would probably not even be in the silver tier rank. I would be in somewhere in bronze. And now, and if you look at the guides that you find on YouTube, so how to play Age of Empires or how to become good or whatever.
Yeah.
The stuff they told you like 6 months ago as the pro tips you need to do. And if you compare that to what you have today, like honestly, if you do these tricks and they were legit at the time, honestly, they were legit. But if you do that now, you're not gonna survive in silver. You're not gonna survive in silver, and so you can imagine how good you have to be in like a platinum tier.
Yeah.
Is where I'm ranked now. So 1 above gold. Yeah. And honestly, you really have to manage like everything. So one wrong click in the first 5 minutes, you missed half a second to do a certain thing, and you lose the match. It's like literally this hard at this point. So I don't know what happened, Dutch. I dropped down to gold 2 from platinum. Yeah, I was in platinum. I was almost platinum 2. I dropped down to gold 3 to gold 2, and it stuck with me. So I had to fight my way back. I'm back in platinum, so everyone can breathe. Yeah? I'm back in platinum, but Jesus, did I have to practice. It's like, so okay, that's my age thing. And then I just finished earlier today the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Nice.
I came home from work and I was already at the final boss, but the guy kept beating me yesterday, so I tried it earlier, first try, and I beat him. So it took me like 10 minutes. But that's all I got, honestly, before we started the show.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love that remake. It's fantastic, dude. It is just so good. It looks amazing. Yeah. It plays. It really feels good. Runs at butter smooth 60 FPS, and we're gonna talk about 60 FPS a lot today.
Yeah.
The sound design, amazing, dude. Dolby Atmos in that game, and you can pinpoint everything that is going on the map is just fantastic. And they changed so much. Like, you remember, you all played it, right? And even if you have played the demo, you know that initial sequence with the village and the church and everything was exactly like the original.
Yeah.
But later in the game, in the second act, you get to a certain castle, and they changed the entire castle. I played Resident Evil 4 many times on the GameCube. But it's been a while, so of course you don't remember anything. But I was playing this, and I was like, I can't remember any of this. Nothing feels familiar, like that initial village sequence. So, and then I Googled a little bit, and they actually really changed the entire castle. So, yeah, new levels, new rooms, new riddles, everything. It's amazing, dude. It plays fantastic. It's so good. And the you know, the sequences in between the chapters, so well done. It is just, in my opinion, the best Resident Evil there is.
Yeah.
The Resident Evil 7 really wasn't it, if you ask me. I did enjoy 8, though. 8 was great, but it did not even come close to what Resident Evil achieves. And, you know, with these remakes, you sometimes wonder, is it just nostalgia? Why you remember that game so fondly because you played it at a certain time where you just, no, Resident Evil is that good. Even if you have not played it before and you play it today, you're getting the best Resident Evil there is. So, yeah, man, that's mainly what kept me busy. I downloaded GHOSTWIRE. I haven't started yet. Gonna do that tomorrow or over the weekend then, of course. So, yeah. Man, that's what I've been up to.
Nice. Sean, are you back?
I am back, yeah.
You're back. Welcome back. How you been, sir? What you been up to? What you been playing?
I haven't really been up to much. I was away the week before last on holiday visiting my parents in Spain, so
Nice.
I've got that whole kind of first week back of work, and my work was very nice and decided to put me on a 7-day.
Oh, how kind. That's nice of
So
him.
I went straight into 7 days and had 1 day off. I'm in for 2 days, then off for 1 day, and then in for 5.
That's
why I'm looking
very
for a
nice
new
of him.
job.
New job. I don't blame you.
I one yesterday. I don't know if I'll get it. It's working in the university as a student support kind of lecturer, and it's like a 15 grand pay rise as well. So
Boom.
it would be nice to get that.
Yes. Most definitely.
But what I've been playing, I managed to sell my PS4 Pro
Sweet.
and something I got from lost property at work, an AirPod case thing. So I managed to pick up a 1 terabit hard drive for my PS5 and Dead Space for £4.
What remake?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Nice.
Yeah, so it was like 120 I got for the PS4, and the hard drive was 120, so that was like a straight swap. And then I got like 40 odd quid for this AirPod case, and it was like 45 quid for Dead Space. So I decided that's what I was getting, and I am enjoying that right now. So yeah, have you played the Dead Space remake?
I haven't as yet. No, it's one. It's with that and Resident Evil 4 are ones that I'm I'm just pushing aside for the second in terms of remakes, mainly because I've already played the originals both, so I'm looking forward to them, but I'm focusing mainly on games that I haven't played at the minute. But it's definitely one I do want to play, but yeah. I've heard nothing but good things about it.
I'm a bit of a Dead Space fanboy. I do love Dead Space.
Yeah.
I've even got a bit of a soft spot for 3, even though it is nothing like the first 2. But yeah, I think so far it's great. It has been a while since I played it. I will probably max it out like I did with the original.
Yes.
But just like the atmosphere and
3D audio and everything.
Yeah, and just like what Boxenberg was saying with like Resi 4, just having that extra thingy, the updated graphics and whatnot, like the atmosphere. Like in films and stuff like Aliens, where you've got like that mist settling on the floor kind of thing.
Yes.
It's those kind of things, and I got to the point. This might be a bit of a spoiler, but if you haven't played the original, then tough luck. You know that monster that keeps regenerating?
Yeah.
I've not long beaten that, but just because the game is different, there's areas that you go through that aren't in the original.
Right.
It just felt more claustrophobic, whereas I played the original so often that monster didn't bother me, it didn't phase me. But because I didn't know where I was going, having to hold down the right stick to get the guide button to where you're supposed to be going, and you're aware that this thing's gonna hunt you down and chop me in half. In fact, he stabbed me a couple of times, and then he kind of chopped my head off. So the death animations are pretty cool in it. I think they've updated them. So yeah, it's kind of a fresh retake. So even though I know the game like the back of my hand in some senses, it's still really good to just play again because there are some differences in it.
Yeah.
And then as we were talking just off before the show started, I'm playing, what did you call it?
Ghostio Tokyo.
What was, the abomination of what you tried to say about 4 times. Ghostio Tokyo. Ghost. The Japanese game.
Oh, God.
So yeah, I'm literally like 20 minutes into that, half an hour if that. I've just gotten out. I think I'm just the beginning of chapter 2. Chapter 1's quite short.
Yeah, it is.
It's more of like a brief intro into things. I have not the foggiest of what's going on, and I probably won't do throughout the whole game. I'll complete it and I'll be like, oh, that was an interesting, fun game, but don't ask me to tell you what the story is. But yeah, I'm playing that. I have to play it in after playing Ghost of Tsushima, you have to play it in the original Japanese with subtitles.
Japanese audio, English subtitles, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what you have to do. So yeah, that's been pretty much what I've been playing. Just a quick shout out to Phasma.
Yeah, it's great to see you in the chat.
Yeah, it is. It's been a while.
Absolutely. It's been a while.
And everybody that's in chat, thank you all for showing up, as always. I was just thinking there, Ghostio Tokyo, that just reminds us of Harry Enfield and Chums, Julio Jojo.
Yeah.
The Geordie version of Ghostwire.
I thought you were going for the Ghost Tokyo Drift. Yeah.
But last but not least, of course, Mick, what have you been up to? What have you been playing?
Apart from work, not been playing much recently. Bit of they put Goat Simulator on the PC.
Okay.
Easy points. So I keep touching on that just to get the daily points for the rewards. But the other thing I actually bought was, I was telling you before, I bought Driver San Francisco on the 360.
Yes, such a throwback.
Only because it was in CEX, and I just thought, that's actually quite cheap because it's on Amazon and places. It's about 20 odd quid.
Yeah.
And it was only a tenner, so I thought, well, I'll have that. I didn't realize it was backwards compatible.
Oh, nice.
So,
is that the game with Vin Diesel in it?
If it is, I haven't got that far. I only just started it.
Protagonist, or is that? Or am I thinking completely different?
No, I don't think so. I think. I don't think
thinking
so.
Wheelman. I think I'm thinking of Wheelman.
Yeah, I
That's
think
what I'm
maybe
thinking of. Yeah.
But no, it's one where you sort of you have like this out of body experience. You kind of jump between cars, and
Oh
take
yeah,
over the
yeah, yeah. I
driving.
remember that.
And it
Fucking heck, that's a
holds
good
up
game.
really well. I mean, it's definitely a 1080p game, which
Yeah.
back on the 360 was, there weren't a tremendous amount of them. A lot of them were 720, or certainly in the mid sort of generation, mid part of the generation.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I would say, it's 60 frames. I don't know if that's, in fact, it's not FPS boosted because I looked, so it's running at whatever the resolution was.
60 FPS.
It feels very smooth. If it's not 60, it's a damn close.
Some modern games, that isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it? Just maybe when
Yeah.
we're talking about
I'm
something
sure
along those
there's a
lines,
game we'll
yeah.
be speaking about very shortly that doesn't have that particular 60 frames.
But yeah, and like I say, graphically it plays well. It feels good, and I was actually really surprised. So yeah, I've been touching. I do like going back to some of the old 360 games every now and again if I can find them cheap enough. So touching on that really, and that's really all I've been doing. I'm not much going on Sea of Thieves at the moment, so I play a bit with Chris, and that's about it. And my OBS, apologies to anybody on watching the Sea of Tuesdays. My OBS is absolutely cocked up again after I reset it and fixed it all the other day. I had a big stream with Behaving Beardly and Sightless Combat on Sunday. And on our usual stream with Sightless in the afternoon, it didn't work. So I had 2 hours between that and the big stream later on in the afternoon, which was part of the RNIB blind association stream with Beardley and Sightless. And I had 2 hours between that and the other stream to get it sorted. Still didn't manage it. It still ran like rubbish. I've watched it back on YouTube. It looks awful. So I'm at the end of my wits with OBS. It's driving me up the wall. So I will get it sorted eventually.
Yeah.
And we'll get back on Tuesdays again.
We'll get it fixed.
So I apologize. Yeah. So sorry to everyone. Well, that's it. Apart from that, it's all good.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, for me, I haven't been playing too much actually, because I've been busy, as everybody knows, with the Community Indie Showcase and getting that together. And it's pretty much at completion point now. There's a couple of little bits that I'm waiting for before I can click render. Yeah, it's almost there. A lot of awesome stuff in there. It's a lot of details, a lot of it's definitely higher quality than last year. And 85 games. None of them are duplicates. Loads of new ones. Loads of ones you haven't seen. Things that have just come out now. Things that have got or getting release dates or have release dates on now. So yes, it's gonna be awesome. So I haven't been playing much, but I did manage to get an hour of GHOSTWIRE Tokyo in before the show, and I have that as gameplay for the background for everybody to enjoy whilst we're talking about the topics today. So enjoy that footage, which I'll transition over to now, and we'll get into it. So yes, ladies, gents, everybody in the chat, everybody watching. I will start with the bigger news from today because, of course, that came very close to go live of the show, and it is some very disappointing news for console owners. Of course, for those on PC, it's still going to be absolutely fine. No issues there. But for those on console, really bad news. Redfall, of course, was announced that they are launching with only quality mode on Series X and Series S. So it's 4K 30 on Series X and 1440p 30 on Series S. And that the 60 frames performance mode will release in a patch later down the line. When that may be, nobody knows. There's obviously some performance issues with it, but the main issue behind this is that all of the footage shown for Redfall up until this point has been 4K 60. All of the footage, all the gameplay footage, everything they've showed off was 4K 60. So it's clearly that footage has been PC. It's not been series consoles. So it's certainly a worry at this point as to why Xbox or Xbox Studios can't seem to get to grips with getting these things right first time round, and that we have to wait for it afterwards. Personally, for me, I will be now playing Redfall on PC. I have thankfully got a PC capable enough to play Redfall at full max settings with 60 frames, so I won't have an issue there. But it is definitely a letdown. My preferred platforms, of course, always are console. It's just the much more convenient one. And if I did have issues on PC, I hate having to faff around to get them fixed, get them sorted, making sure I optimize the settings and all that malark. I just want to be able to turn on a game and it work. And when you're talking about, if it was any other game, like usually, and I've mentioned this plenty times before, if it's like an action adventure game like a Tomb Raider or something like that, I can kind of let 30 frames slip. But when it comes to anything that revolves around FPS or shooting mechanics or anything that's like semi-competitive or again, especially on this one where it has a kind of a co-op mode with it, which requires kind of gunplay, etc. 60 FPS at this point is a pretty much a baseline requirement for a shooter. I'm not bothered who's the person making it, but 60 FPS has to absolutely be a baseline for shooters. It's a major disappointment, to be honest, in my opinion, anyway. And I don't understand why it's such an issue, especially if Series S, for instance, is pushing out a native 1440p at 30, half it, 1080p 60. I don't know why 1080p 60 wouldn't just be the basic thing to go for there. And then again, for the series consoles, go 2K 60. If that is what's required to get performance mode on there, then do it. There's plenty of upscaling technologies that they've got hold of with FSR, etc., that obviously hasn't been used. I understand people that'll be not bothered about 30 frames or 60 frames and they'll play it on 30 frames regardless. And those who don't have a choice, of course, I hope you enjoy what you get to play. But we have to call out issues when there are issues. And in this instance, this is an issue that needs to be spoke about. Mick, first of all, I'm going to go to you. What's your thoughts on Redfall's now 30 FPS launch on consoles?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's disappointing. Like you, I'm predominantly a console player. I used to do PC stuff for years. Used to build gaming rigs and stuff, but I just ended up spending more time trying to fix them or make them work than actually enjoying the games. And I found myself just more and more just going back to the console just because I knew I could just turn it on, play it, no problem, turn it back off again. So I do have a gaming laptop like yourself.
Yeah.
I'll probably be able to play it. It's got a 3060 in it. It should play fine. It should play at 60. I know somebody in the chat was saying that the PC version was bumpy when they were playing it. That was Nyx. Yeah, she was saying that it's bumpy apparently on PC. But then, if I'm being honest, most PC games are when they first launch.
Yeah, you usually, especially with Nvidia, on launch, you usually get the day one Nvidia update for those games.
So it'll be one of them. I will download it on the PC, I will download it on the Xbox, and I will see which one plays best, and I'll just play it there.
Yeah.
Simple as that, really. But I am disappointed. We've got these consoles. We bought these consoles with the promise of 4K 60.
Yeah.
And we're just getting one or the other, and in some instances, not even the other.
And for me, I was going to say, for me specifically, like the focus again on a native 4K resolution is, I don't understand why they're still trying to do that. Like when we've got upsampling techniques that we have, which have proven to be decent now, especially with FSR2 and DLSS 3 on PC. But when we're talking about the consoles, which is AMD, FSR2 now we know has been vastly improved over the first version, which was terrible. Use FSR. Don't put out a native 4K. You don't need a native 4K image on these days. You don't need it.
Yeah.
Do a 2K with an FSR boost or whatever it is, and get that 60 frames, that should be the absolute baseline. It should be.
I mean, maybe it's a sort of, you've got to have that 4K thing, otherwise it doesn't look good for the brand. Maybe, but like you say, options. This
Yeah.
is the generation of options.
Yeah.
Give us the option to have a 4K 30, so you can put that big 4K badge on the front if you want. But then give us a like you say, give us a 2K FSR version with 60 frames. You know?
Yeah.
Just give, it's just infuriating.
Like I said, to me, it doesn't matter how they get to 4K, but native 4K is an absolute waste of overhead, which is why most PC games use DLSS and use FSR to get to 4K. Unless you've got an absolute monster machine, it's an absolute waste of resources. A waste.
Yeah.
The vast majority of PC players do not go native. It's pointless.
I did actually go back to Tomb Raider. Not Rise of Tomb Raider. One of the two. The one that's on PC that's got the achievements. Trying to get the achievements. And I think it's the second. I think it was the second Tomb Raider of the newer trilogy, yeah?
Yeah.
And it's got options to turn on DirectX 12, DLSS, FSR. There's a whole bunch of other options that you can turn on.
Yeah.
You can just crank them all on and it runs beautifully. Really nice. And I'm just like, okay, this is great. These are all things that are on the console.
Yeah.
So why can we not have these on a lot of games?
Yeah. I don't understand it. I don't get it.
So it's disappointing, but like I said, I'll be playing it. Probably just playing it on the PC if it runs better there.
Yeah. Yeah, like I say, if it was any other game, like if it was an action adventure, like I mentioned with Tomb Raider or Uncharted or something like that, I can cope with 30 frames. Yeah. When you're talking about a shooter, specifically a shooter, it's 60 as a baseline. You cannot have less than that.
It does make me slightly worried about Starfield.
I can understand that. It was one of the first things I seen on the timeline as well from a few people. Starfield is now a worry to them if this is how this is coming out.
It was one of the first things I thought of. I was like, if they're still thinking this is okay, it's not great.
And then you've got the age-old, and I get everyone's opinions on this specific thing at the end, and of course, keep your answers until the end for this one. But then there's the age-old question: what is better? Is delaying the game better, and then having the rhetoric that there's a management issue at Xbox, and then having to deal with that, or launching it the way it is?
That is out there now anyway.
Yeah, or launching it as it is, and then have the 60 frames, and then people complain on that front. So there's two major issues they've got to deal with there anyway. And either way, it's an issue they need to resolve. But it's a kind of a lose-lose situation for them. If they delay it, there's going to be here we go again with more delays. And if they don't, and they launch it without 60 frames, as they are doing currently, then of course it's a case of like, why have you not been able to get 60 frames working for launch? Like, why are you targeting native resolutions when you can do upsampling and get 60 frames? Like, there's so many.
One more thing, before I move on, and I can see Boxy's ready to jump in on this.
Yeah, raring to go.
Here's the thing that annoys me though.
Yeah,
is in the past, and this has happened on a few occasions. They've gone, yeah, we can't do 60 frames. It's not possible. We can't do 60 frames, and everyone goes mad about it. And then 3 weeks later, they put a patch out that puts 60 frames in. Like, it could be literally, some games have done it where it's literally been 2 to 3 weeks after launch. Yeah. Oh, we've patched it, it runs at 60 now. And you think, why did you not just delay it 3 weeks and make that with launch?
Yeah.
Because if you hadn't announced it, you must have been working on it before you announced that point, at that point. So if you'd have just put it back 3 weeks, we wouldn't have known any different and launched it with 60 frames. It would have been great. What if this is another one that comes out like up to a month later and they go, oh yeah, we've patched it now, it's all good? You just think, was it that hard?
Yeah.
Could you not have, put a few more people on it to get it out on time? or when before you announced it was coming out, was it May 2nd? Just said, oh, it's coming out May 22nd, or something like that, and just go,
Yeah, it's coming out May
There you go.
22nd to ensure that performance mode is there day one.
yeah, and nobody's going to complain at that because they'll be like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all right.
So yeah, but I hope. I mean, I don't hope it's a long time, but I'll be annoyed if it's a really short period afterwards. And you're like, really? Yeah. Go on.
So you're gonna play it at launch?
Yeah, I'll be
Really?
playing it.
I'll be playing it on
playing
PC. Yeah. PC at launch, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got the machine capable to do it. But the issue, I think a lot of people, obviously Boxy, you've got the machine capable to do it. I don't know about whether or not Shom, do you have a gaming laptop or PC?
No.
No, so you'll be on console. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts
I'll
on
be
this one.
Context.
But
Foxy, do you want to go first, or
Go on. Fight.
Fight.
Who's
Fight.
going
Who wants to go first?
Foxy or Shom? Foxy or Shom? Flip of coin.
My time.
he's primed
My
and
time.
ready?
He's primed and ready.
He's ready to just boom.
So where do I begin? Where do I begin?
Strap in, people. Strap in.
It's what Xbox has been doing this gen is beyond me. Honestly, I truly I don't know where to start, and I'm sick and tired of sugarcoating their mismanagement, and I have lost a lot of trust and faith in them. I have to choose my words like this, unfortunately, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
They can't deliver. What have they delivered this gen?
Yeah.
There has no other generation in consoles that has been this awful in terms of games for Xbox.
Yeah. For
Look at the
Xbox, yeah.
launch of the OG Xbox. Look at the launch of the 360. Look at the launch of the Xbox One. The first 2-3 years they had games. Xbox did not have games. The last major release was Halo Infinite in November 21. That's 1.5 years without a major release. They delayed Redfall for an entire year to make sure the game delivers.
Yeah.
And now they bring it out without the thing that they sold their console on, the most powerful console out there. This is the most powerful console, guys.
Yeah.
And we are playing games like we did in the 360 generation. That's what we do. Xbox has not delivered a single AAA game in 18 months. And this is what they do on a game that is supposed to come out on next gen only with all the features we've got.
Yeah.
Really? Really?
I mean, you just said there that next gen only, and that 360 game I was playing was 60 frames, and it was actually looks better than some of the games that are out at the moment. And it's an whole 360 game.
Yeah. It's frustrating. It's honestly, I can understand the people that go out on Twitter, they cancel their Game Pass sub. What have they released in Game Pass? We had Hi-Fi Rush, which was a great surprise, no doubt. But yeah, not a AAA release, no real push for the console or anything. And before that, we look at the last year. There were 1 or 2 major releases and a lot of nice little indies. Not complaining. For me personally, I got my money's worth. But honestly, that's not why you buy a console. That's not why you subscribe to Game Pass. And of course, we always complain about marketing. What should they market? Should they market? Honestly, if you think about this, what should they market? Should they market a Game Pass service that has not seen any major releases in 1.5 years? Maybe 1 or 2 little things that were exciting, like a Blake's Tale and Hi-Fi Rush, but both of them they did not market. So anyway, yeah. So what should they do? What should they say? So the console is not even available to buy. Every other platform you can go out and buy, and Xbox has a supply issue still in 23. Yeah. We listen to the community. What are you listening to?
Yeah.
Do we have like a storage expansion card for, other than the that we pay a lot of money for, and they promised us 2.5 years ago that other suppliers will come. Have they listened to changing the dashboard, Xbox Game DVR, localization issues? Have they listened to anything? No. We still don't have games. They promised us games in the 12-month window. They have all been moved out, except Redfall, and Redfall comes out in an incomplete state. We're getting an incomplete game. They punish console gamers for buying their console.
Yeah.
Obviously, I understand that Microsoft wants to push towards PC and mobile and cloud, but their core fan base, us, the console gamers that made the brand what it is, we are treated like second-class customers.
Yep.
And you are being punished for playing the game day one, which is what they supposed to want us. They need to want us to play the game. And honestly, I put out a thread earlier on Twitter. I highly recommend everyone to go in there. People are so frustrated with Xbox. Another broken promise. Aaron Greenberg himself tweeted a couple of weeks ago, yeah, we have 60 FPS and 120 frames mode in performance. That's what people were expecting. Aaron himself tweeted that. So what the hell are they doing now? They've showcased, they invited the creators, and we all knew for hands-on event, we all knew that they were not allowed to record their own gameplay.
Yeah.
But everyone told us, like Cold Eastwood and all these people that the influencers that they've flown out told us, oh, it plays good, it runs good. They didn't let us record footage, but here they gave them tons of footage that they pre-recorded, all ran at 60 FPS. Even the god-awful gameplay from IGN 3-4 days ago was like at 60 FPS. And now this is what we get for trusting them to invest in the most powerful console. And it's not the first time. If we are honest, it's not the first time that we have seen performance issues on there.
It's how many times as well, like how many times, Boxy, do we have to sit here every time they release a game and talk about the issues? And it's every time. It's not even just like this entire generation so far. The games that they've released, none of them have been without issue. We didn't have again, Halo Infinite, the most prominent one, but didn't have the most.
This is the Xbox brand. It's the mascot of Xbox, Halo, the Master Chief. And what did they do to that IP? What did they do to that?
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry for interrupting you.
No. It was mainly just to add on to what you're saying. It's a case of it's every. I feel like it's every time this gen we're having to come on here. It's very well put in the chat there by Nix. It's we're doing, like, we try so hard to love the brand, and we do love Xbox and the community and everything that comes with it.
Sure.
But every time we think we're getting somewhere, we're having to call them out on things that shouldn't be there. Like Tim mentioned there, Hi-Fi Rush released with no issues, but that's the exception, not the rule. Exactly, it's the exception, and that's a small. And I don't want to.
I think Pentiment also launched without issues. Yeah, but listen, and I agree. I loved Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
We praised it. Yeah. We really did. You can go back to our podcasts, and listen to it. How much we loved Hi-Fi Rush, but that's not what the brand wanted and needed.
Yeah,
they need AAA games, they need blockbuster games, they need system sellers, console sellers, and that's what Xbox has been promising us. That they have failed to deliver this gen. Yeah, they have absolutely failed that. 2.5 years into the console generation. We are 2.5 years into the console generation, and all we had was Forza and Halo in terms of AAA releases. In 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And now, after 1.5, if you think about this, 18 months ago, in May, when Redfall comes out, it's been 18 months since the last major release of an Xbox first-party game. It's the first true next-gen game that they release. And what happens?
Yep.
We play it like we played games during the 360 generation.
Yep.
And it's not the first time. Even with third-party games, we have seen Xbox performance isn't on par with when we look at the hardware specs on paper. Xbox Series X should outperform PlayStation in 99% of the games.
Yep.
There is just so much overhead there. And yet, developers, and I mean the bigger developers, it's really not, we're talking not about an indie solo developer, indie developer who just might not know their ways around the hardware. It's the big games. I mentioned Resident Evil 4 earlier. Performance issues on Xbox.
Yep.
We from the biggest games across the board on a regular basis that Xbox has performance issues.
Yeah.
And yes, some people blame the Series S. I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that the Series S is the issue. It's their lack in developing proper tools and proper documentations. We've heard it so many times that even if the tools are there, developers don't know how to use them. They are too complicated to use. We have heard that so many times. And at the end, they are always developing on the lowest common denominator. That's usually the PC. Yeah. And they have to develop their games so that they run on multiple systems, multiple hardware configurations. And the way how Sony did it with the brute force method, simply have overclocked CPUs and GPUs. That's nothing anyone has to code for. It's just there for developers. Turns out to be a more reliable system. And having familiar tools, having proper documentation for tools leads to the fact that's not all, but many games, too many games, as when you compare it on paper, run and perform better on the PlayStation. And now Redfall comes out, an Xbox exclusive game. And what are we doing? And honestly, it becomes kind of hard to defend Xbox all the time. I can't do that anymore. It's difficult to do so. They clearly do not care about the console. I mean, earlier today, I read a great thread from Globrille. Shout out to him. He brought up a great point. It feels like Xbox is favoring PC.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't care about what made the brand big, the console. They focus on PC. You can see that and tell that 2 years after launch, we probably will get H4. We still have games like Ara only come out on PC. Xbox has that issue that they always say we have a unified ecosystem, when in reality, PC gets a lot more. Yeah, from them. And so if you want to enjoy Xbox, go PC. Period. You can play the games at 60 FPS on PC. And honestly, on a much lower spec PC than the Xbox Series X. That's the problem.
That is a problem.
Yeah, you can have a potato of a PC, and it will run your game at 60.
Yep.
And you can't do that on console. It's not good. It does not look good for Xbox, and we are still waiting. And honestly, I've thought about this ever since I read it. Will I be playing it day one? I could play it on PC. It would look and run anyway. My PC is higher spec than the Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
I have a 3080. Yeah. I have a Zen 3 CPU already in there with the 580X. It would run better anyway there. But it's not my preferred platform. I'm a console gamer. When I sit in front of the PC all day at work, when I come home and want to do to relax, and that is gaming. It's my recreational activity of choice. It's what I do to relax. And no, I see you in the chat, Mr. Joanna Dark. I do not want to flexing my PC specs because I can't keep up with your 4090. So, but I have a couch right here and my OLED C1 right there. And when I finish work, I want to lay down on the couch. I don't want to sit in front of the TV with the in front of the PC with the mouse and keyboard. I want to sit on the couch and I want to play a great experience on the couch, and Xbox cannot deliver those.
Yeah.
So, yeah. One last point before I finish up my rant.
Go for it.
Who to blame? Who to blame?
Yeah.
Bethesda has the most powerful shooter engine in-house with ITech.
Mm-hmm.
And Arcane is using a deviation, a solely optimized, a heavily optimized version of that engine for their games. At least they have for Deathloop. Honestly, I'm not really sure about Redfall, which engine they are using there. But so far in Deathloop and Dishonored and Prey, they used their own customized ITech. So, and ITech, Doom Eternal runs at 4K, 60 FPS with ray tracing on the Xbox. With ray tracing on.
Yep.
So, who to blame? Who to blame? I don't know. At the end, the people responsible for the brand are in charge of delivering for their customers. And that's the upper management. That's the higher management.
Yep.
It's the Matt Booties, it's the Phil Spencers, it's the Sarah Bonds. It's those people in charge that are at the end of the day responsible for delivering games, quality, and keeping up with their promises.
We've mentioned this before, Boxy. We've mentioned this before. You mentioned that first and foremost, Matt Booty is in charge of the studios. Phil Spencer is his boss. At this point, the way this generation has gone, with the severe issues on both the management side of things, the performance side of things, the way games are coming out or not coming out, Matt Booty has to be held to the fire by Phil Spencer. He has to be at this point.
It has to be. He is, at the end, Phil is responsible to deliver games, to deliver quality, to deliver to their customers. And have they done so? Everyone needs to judge for themselves. I gave my spiel on this, but yeah, who to blame? At the end, it's the managers. They make a lot of money each and every year, and they are to be held responsible for this. So yeah, I think at this point, and if we look at the absolute failure that has been this generation so far, we have to talk about management issues at Xbox.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I think what I want to talk about as well.
Nicer things.
What I want to add to that as well is, of course, the one thing we don't do as a community here, and I don't advocate for anybody on Twitter either. If you're perfectly happy playing at 30 frames, then you go and enjoy that game at 30 frames. That isn't the issue, whether or not a singular person enjoys it. It's we're cracking down on the fact that these things shouldn't be happening now. If you're happy playing at 30, then enjoy it at 30. More power to you. More power to you. Enjoy it.
And if you're not, you don't go chasing people down online and telling them they should.
Exactly. And if somebody comes and tries to attack you for being okay with playing at 30, then fine. I mean, just ignore them, block them, get rid of them. They're not worth it. Like, you shouldn't be attacked for enjoying what you enjoy or how you want to enjoy it. But when it comes to the Xbox side of things, we have to hold their feet to the fire, because this isn't right now. The way this generation has gone so far is not acceptable. Absolutely not acceptable.
They should have delayed it. They should have delayed Redfall again.
Yep.
Honestly, because you punish the people that play it day one. And if they bring out the patch, and I highly doubt what Mike said, that it's only 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It will be longer. So 2 months after launch, nobody will care. Nobody
that's
will
the
care.
problem.
People
You've missed the boat by that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You miss that. It's the first week is the week that you need to generate hype around your game. If you fail that, the game is gone for good. There will be a handful of people. It will be a subnote in some websites. Oh, the patch has came out. You can now play it at 60. The people that wanted to play Redfall have already played it and have been punished for doing so, to play it like in the 360 days, and everyone else. They killed their own game with this. Honestly, Redfall already had a difficult position. Yeah. Is Redfall like the game, like a Starfield that everyone looks forward to? No, but it showed well. Arcane has a name. They have had their hits and misses. Deathloop, controversial, Dishonored. Some people liked it, some didn't. Prey, in my opinion, highly underrated.
Oh yeah,
but
Prey was brilliant.
Is Redfall the console magnet, the system seller that Xbox needs? So far, the buzz around the game wasn't this big. Yeah, we had great showings, but the buzz wasn't this big. Now, honestly, it will have a really, really hard time. It will have a really hard time. And I don't know who said it earlier. The thing about Starfield, are you worried? Of course.
Yeah.
We all should be. At this point, we cannot trust Xbox to deliver. Of course, I'm scared. This makes me even more scared, because Starfield is my game. It's by far my most anticipated game this year, and that in a year where Diablo 4 comes out. So, of course, I'm scared. The mismanagement at Xbox makes me scared about all these games.
Yeah.
Do I have trust in Fable being good? I trust Playground. I don't trust Xbox. What about Avowed? Yeah, Obsidian, amazing developer. Will the mismanagement from Xbox have rubbed up on them? I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know what to believe and trust. We are at this point. So,
yeah.
Just quickly before you go on to Sham, I did say I didn't say it would be a couple of weeks till the update comes. It's just that with some games, it has been only a couple of weeks before that patch comes, and it just makes you wonder, why did you not just delay it a couple of weeks? I do think you're right, though. I don't think this update's going to come anytime soon. It'll be 3 months minimum.
Yeah. Sham, what's your thoughts on this? Because, of course, like I say, thankfully, me, Mick, Boxy, you've all got gaming capable PCs or laptops, and we're able to play this on day one at 60 on that, even though we'd much prefer to be playing on the Xbox at 60. What's your thoughts
honestly,
on this?
if I think about this, as you say it popped into my head that like 3 days earlier or 4 days earlier, Star Wars comes out.
Yeah.
So I know what I will be playing.
Star Wars.
Why would I reward Xbox for playing this at 30 FPS, which I do not want, and I do not want to play it on the PC. I want to play on my couch, and I deserve this. I work like 12 hours every day. I deserve to play on my couch and not in front of my PC.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good point. Very good point. Sean, what's your thoughts on this?
First, I just want to quickly correct Boxy. It's not Matt Booty who is in charge of Bethesda Games. He's got his own.
I know they run their own entity, but that's also something I'm not letting out there as an excuse anymore. They've been part of Xbox for more than 2 years now. Xbox is responsible for what Bethesda does.
Yep.
Period. Period.
What I mean by that is I don't think it falls on his head. He's got his own problems to deal with. So I don't know actually who is the Matt Booty of Bethesda. Is it Pete Hines?
Probably would be, yeah.
Peter Heinz is the marketing officer.
yeah, he
I
is,
don't
he is,
know who
isn't he?
is
Yeah.
head of the Bethesda Studios.
Would it be Todd Howard then?
Um,
What ultimately?
I not sure. Not sure. I don't think Howard. Howard is. I mean, he is the head of Bethesda Game Studios, the Bethesda studio that makes Skyrim and Fallout and whatnot. But it's good question. I don't know. Honestly, I don't care.
Yeah.
Either way,
Xbox.
they need to do
It's
better.
an Xbox company. Period. And they are in charge.
Yeah. But yeah, Sean, continue. Sorry.
So obviously, it's massively disappointing. There is no, you can't really see a reason why if they're planning a patch. You know, they didn't have to give the release date that they did if it wasn't ready. So why have they given the release date?
Yeah.
Because if they would not have given that, they would have moved all 3 games
Out of the
that
12
they
months.
promised to
Outside
cut out of the
12, yeah.
12-month window.
Yeah.
And I get that this would also mean a lot of smoke, but hey, they're getting the smoke anyway, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I mean, as being the only person in the panel that's going to be playing it on the Series X, I still will be playing it day one. Because I don't think I'll have Jedi Survivor. I'm not sure if I'll be getting that day one just yet, as much as I like it, unless my game share partner gets it.
Yeah.
I'm just funds wise at the moment. It's I just don't get why. I don't know. It's one of those things for me. Gaming is a pastime that I use to relax, to escapism, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, but it's massively disappointing. If I could choose between 60 and 30, I'd choose 60 every time. Why can't they do like you said, 2K 60?
Yeah.
Have that as a starting thing. You don't need 4K as the benchmark for or the kind of the what they have for everything. It's like the reason PlayStation beats them in a lot of the Digital Foundry stands off is because they're not having the same resolution.
Yeah, they never use native resolutions over on PlayStation. It's very rare that they ever use native. It's always some form of upscaling technique.
Yeah. So it's like there seems to have like a bee in their bonnet about being 4K.
Broken promises, honestly. They made a big fuss about this at GDK 2022 when they said, oh, we have now available FSR 2 for all developers in the GDK. And it takes only maximum 4 weeks to implement this. I personally made 3 videos about this because they promised, they overhyped and not delivered. 2 games are out there. 2 games that have used FSR on console. So don't fool yourself. Not gonna happen for some reason. Yeah.
Well, I mean, even if it took like 3 months, like you're talking that with third parties. This is a first party developer. They don't have to worry about putting it onto PlayStation, and you've got the whole excuse of it's easier to program for PlayStation, and they've got the majority shareholders, so you're going to be spending more time on them, and the Xbox blah 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 gets the hand-me-downs, if you will. But this isn't the case. It's an Xbox owned studio. Why can't they use that technology? Why can't they focus in on performance over quality? I don't even like when every game I play I put up the performance mode because the quality mode, unless I want to it's with control and I want to take a picture, so I have all the ray tracing and make it look all nice and whatnot. I just play in 60 because 30 frames, and especially in control, is an eyesore.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, GHOSTWIRE is very harsh on the eyes as well in terms of quality. Jeez, you got to get the right setting for that. I'm so glad that I've got a monitor that does VSS.
Yeah, same.
Because holy crap.
Same.
my eyes were bleeding before I figured, got the right setting. But yeah, like I said, it's not the end of the world for me. But that's not giving them a pass by any stretch of the imagination.
See, the thing is, if this would be the only thing,
Yeah,
bummer.
no, I think you're right.
Okay,
I think you're right.
no big deal. We can all cope with a game at 30. It's not the end of the world. I get that, but at the end, it's this. When is it enough? When is it enough that we start to make excuses for what is going on at Xbox?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're already
Well,
past that
yeah.
stage.
True.
It's not the one pebble. It's all the pebbles that make the mountain. if you know
Yeah,
what I mean.
exactly.
It's just just the stacking and stacking and stacking. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'll probably play it. I will play it at 30, and I'll probably really enjoy it if I'm going to be honest with you. But I shouldn't have to play it at that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to play at a lower resolution than all my friends who are playing on PC. And I don't blame people like Colt. I've seen Colt get a lot of heat for it. And it's like, well, he was playing what he was given. He was what he played. He may maybe say you shouldn't make the assumption, but it's like, why not? If you've flown out to an event and you're shown something and it's 60, then you're going to assume that yes, it's a PC, but the Xbox is going to have the same resolution. That's an assumption I think everybody made, to be honest with you, not just Colt. So yeah, I don't know. There was something else I was going to say, but it's slipping my mind at the moment. I don't know. It's just, I think Foxy's kind of summed up pretty much everything really well.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I do like the community's response to it. I haven't really seen anybody justifying it. You might get the one or two person going, right, well, it's frustrating. A bit my point of view, it's frustrating, but it is what it is. I'll still play the game.
Yeah.
I've seen some people I think it's just for, I don't know, views or whatever, going, oh, I'm cancelling my pre-order, or I'm not going to play it at all, or whatever. I think those people you'll still see playing it because it's social engagement. That's what we do on social media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think you're right though, Sean. I think it's at this point it's not even just when you were speaking on the tools and things like that. It still baffles me to this day. Specifically, like third party, we can't control to a point. Like Xbox can assist them, but that's not their. It really isn't their remit to kind of tell them how to develop their game. If they mess up on third party, they mess up. From a first party perspective, though, when you've got all of the tools at hand and they know how to use all of those tools because it's first party, there is really next to zero excuse as to why they aren't using all available tools that they have at their disposal in order to get that game working properly.
What engine is it on?
Unreal 4.
Unreal.
Is it? Is this confirmed? Because
yeah,
in the past, again,
the last version of Unreal 4. Yeah.
Because in the past they have used a highly customized engine of the tech engine.
Yeah,
well, maybe that's where the problem is that they have moved over to Unreal 4 and they're unfamiliar and whatnot. But I don't know. I thought Unreal 5 was supposed to be this all singing, all dancing, transfer.
Oh, it is, but none of them are like. There's only a handful. Like now, there's a lot of the future Xbox games are on Unreal 5, like Hellblade and things like that, and Avowed, etc. But this is the last version of Unreal 4 that Redfall's on, which means even then, it shouldn't be any issues when it comes to performance. Like it's a highly optimized engine at this point, really highly optimized, and we've seen what Forza Horizon 5 looks like on Unreal Engine 4. That is the last. Sorry, no, that wasn't. Ignore that. Wrong game.
Yeah.
That was the last version of Forza tech. But we've seen countless games on Unreal 4 right now that look and run fantastic. at this point in the generation, there should not be any. Again, FSR2, they made a whole song and dance about FSR and upscaling techniques and everything like that, and velocity architecture and everything that goes along with all the kit. And first party studios are going to take full advantage of. Where have we seen full advantage of those architectures? We haven't. We still aren't.
We have not. Yeah.
And it needs calling out. As much as we want to love Xbox, they've this generation, specifically this generation, the tail end of last gen was when we thought they were getting the grips on things. We're like, right,
Yeah.
they've really got the grips with it now. They've brought out a more powerful console. Everything's getting enhanced. It's 4K 60s everywhere. There's all these big updates, and then soon, as soon as this gen starts, nothing but issues, delays, performance problems, bugs.
I mean, they launched the console, without a single game for the first 8 months.
Yeah.
Or 9 months.
Yeah.
8 or 9 months.
No first party games.
We've never had a console launch that bad before.
Yeah.
Not once. Yeah. So, yeah. Issue, dude. Issue.
It is. It needs called out, and kind of I want to transition very, very well into the next topic, because we'll get all the Xbox stuff down in one go instead of kind of going over and coming back to it. This also lends very well into another issue that was brought up on Twitter as well, and it was surrounding the faltering Xbox Series console sales, which started off very well, tracking ahead of Xbox One, and as it stands right now, it's now fallen in line with Xbox One sales. So it's starting to falter. We've had another month where it's 18% lower for the quarter, in terms of how many units they're shipping. What started off really well for them in terms of console sales is now significantly dropping, and there's many issues surrounding as to why. One of the major ones, as we've mentioned already right now, is the lack of games that they've produced in the opening 2 years. The performance of those games that have released in the opening 2 years outside of Forza Horizon. And then, of course, horrific marketing. It's the non-existent marketing from Xbox. And how do they expect to ship units and get people interested in a service if they've got nothing to show for it? Nothing.
No.
Boxy, what do you think? I mean, ultimately, that to me, it's such a basic thing that's causing the systems to not sell as quickly as they need it to. And again, they've shifted their focus to you can play anywhere. So have they shifted their focus entirely to the point where they just don't care about Xbox sales now, and they just want, as long as you're playing our games, we don't care what you buy? But even then, surely they have to justify it by backing that up with some form of hardware sales to make up for the expenditure on R&D and manufacturing, etc. So they still need those to sell. What's your thoughts on it, Boxy?
I mean, is it really surprising? You already mentioned a lot of great points there, because, what are they supposed to market? They didn't have any first-party games outside of Halo, and Forza Horizon. Yeah, we had games like Age, which is obviously an amazing game. Yeah, but that's not an on console. And we had Psychonauts 2, my game of that year.
Yeah.
But it's a multi-platform game. Came out everywhere. So when we look at this, what should they market the console on? Gamepass is a good value, but I mentioned this earlier. If you look at it, you mentioned it correctly. If you look at the casuals, now me, Boxy, Mick, Shom, we're all huge advocates of indie games. We love indie games, but the casuals, the general public, don't give a flying fuck about the indie games. They just want these big AAA things. Whether that's your Call of Duties, whether that's your FIFAs, whether that's your God of Wars, your Spider-Mans,
your Halos, your Forzas.
And so on.
That's all they want. That's all they care
That's
about.
what they want.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. It's okay to have that focus and
Yeah.
that priority. Honestly, that's okay. So yeah, the question is what are they supposed to market? What are they supposed to market? It's like, yeah. So that's the one thing. And if you have nothing to market, that you can bring up the same argument on what basis? Why would you buy an Xbox console at the moment? Let's be real here. PS Plus is also a great subscription service. We have to acknowledge that. If you look at the latest additions to the service, there's some good stuff in there. There's some good stuff. Does it still have the? It does not have the same like push like Game Pass. But however, because Game Pass has the first part day one releases. Yes, cool. But there are no first party games that come in the service day one. There are none. So yeah, of course. Why would you buy it? It's hard to. The casuals, they don't look towards the promises. They look at what they can play, and Xbox is solely living off of promises that on the hope of games we might get to play, hopefully in a few years. But then again, the wait has been simply too long for many people, including myself. I'm getting tired of waiting. I don't want to wait anymore.
Yeah.
I want to play Starfield. I want to play an Avowed, a Hellblade 2, a Fable. I want to play those bangers. And that's the thing. People get to play those games on Nintendo. They get to play those games on PlayStation, but they don't get to play them on Xbox. So is it surprising to me? No, not at all. And then additionally, on top of that, we have to talk about the supply issue.
Yeah.
And the supply chain. Yes, of course, that is a super important metric. It is a super important metric to have the console actually available on shelves. You know,
I hear a lot of people saying about this supply issue. I don't know about. I know you're in Germany, Boxy, but me and Chom and Dutch over in the UK.
There hasn't been supply issues for Xbox for months. Yeah, months and months.
No?
Yeah,
like not at all. I mean, you can go onto Amazon, you can go onto the Xbox store, you can go onto anywhere, and they've got. I was in stores the other day.
But even I was going to say, even saying that
doesn't seem to be affected by this.
I was going to say, even saying that when your competitor is selling 3 times as many as you. The supply issues, you can't rest on that.
Shouldn't be an issue, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I lost a little bit my train of thought there.
No, you're talking about the supply issues, of course, as one of the things.
The supply issues, yeah. So yes, supply issues. So when we talk about sales numbers, of course, we have to bring up the question on is the console actually available to buy? So it's good. Apparently, it's, if I understood you correct, it's not an issue in the UK, which is good to hear that there are markets where, but there are still enough markets where it is still an issue. So in total, I'm honestly not really surprised on this,
Yeah. For me, one of the major things isn't just the lack of first party, and we've stressed this. I've lost track of how many times, but the marketing is non-existent. The marketing that I've done for the Indie Showcase is already more than Microsoft have done for any of their games.
Yeah, true.
It shouldn't be the case that one man can do more than an entire marketing team. When you've got a budget the size of them, it's so much. It's so easy to just do that, to go out and do that, and you can, of course, you can spend a small fraction and get advertising boards on or things on buses, and you can do that. You've seen what PlayStation have done with their state of play type stuff, where they've got huge axes sticking in the floor and random buses parked everywhere. That's such a minor thing for them to do. It's so small, but it catches people's eyes. They take photos. It's what
Yeah.
you call is viral marketing, essentially.
Yeah.
Microsoft have zero viral marketing capabilities.
They don't have
None.
that. Yeah. They don't have that. It is an issue. It is, of course, marketing. You have to have that.
And
That's
how
the thing.
are you going to buy a
Why would-
console you don't know exists? Like that's especially
Exactly.
you've mentioned it in Germany. Nobody, like literally the vast majority of times in Germany, there's what's an Xbox. How are they going to know what one is if you don't see it until you go into a
Yeah.
store?
Yeah, it is. And even then, you see that, and then next to it, you see a PlayStation, and everyone knows what a PlayStation is.
Yep.
Yeah, that you can get quality games on there to play. You know that. People know that. You don't know that about Xbox. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is. I'm not surprised about this, honestly.
Yep.
So
Mick, what's your take on the faltering sales of the series consoles? Don't know if he's not there. I'll come back to him. Sean, what's your take on the faltering series consoles?
I don't know really. It's kind of that's one thing I never really give a crap about. To be
Yeah.
honest with you. I don't care how many they sell. I'm not in it to be bragging about whether
Sales
they're
numbers,
first, second, or
etc.
third.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as long I've always got the attitude, as long as they sell enough to make it worthwhile continuing in the business, then that's all I really care about, to be honest with you. I'm guessing, like, I was always under the impression it's because they were using a lot of chips for the cloud gaming.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it's all anecdotal because in the game near me, when I was in there, it must have been about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer, they didn't have any. But that's just like, when you see people on Twitter going, "Oh, look, there's 5 Xboxes here, nobody's buying them," or it's all anecdotal. There may be 5 and there may not be any in the game, but I'm in Manchester, so they probably sold. I live in a big city. So I don't know. I'm just taking my socks off. That's why I'm going. Oh, so so yeah, I don't really know why they're not selling. It's a good machine. I think it's like Boxy was saying. It's like you need a good constant flow of quality non-30 FPS games to draw people in. You know what I mean? I don't know what the actual thingy with the S is. I don't know if that's selling or not selling.
I think it's overall, like overall decline. Sales have declined 18% for the last quarter again, and they declined the previous quarter as well. So it's like as an overall, they're both not doing well at all. And to me, it is literally down to 2 points: horrific marketing, and nothing on there that big consumers want.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's not that killer app, and they certainly don't do the job that Sony does in terms of marketing.
Yeah,
like when
God of War comes out.
Yeah, when Spider-Man marketing
oh, that's everywhere.
comes out.
Yeah,
And it's like, was it Spider-Man? Oh no, it was God of War. It was the first God of War, wasn't it? When they projected it onto a basketball court.
yeah.
We might. I bought a bottle of Lucozade the other day and got a Starfield thing on it. You know what I mean? It's like it's miles apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You buy a bottle of Lucozade, or you've got a subway train with Spider-Man plastered all over it in New York.
Yeah.
People hear about it, even if you're not in New York. I remember at the time
what they did in London.
Like,
they had because obviously PlayStation had the Hogwarts rights. They had all 4 houses of buses with all 4 houses all over them with the PlayStation signs on them.
Yeah, or in Saudi Arabia. Is it Saudi Arabia or is it Dubai?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was Dubai.
Where
yeah.
they had Thor's hammer and some other stuff or something like that, or I don't know. But they go to town. Sony go to town.
Yeah.
On their marketing. and Xbox just they don't. You know what I mean? They can spend 79 billion or 69 billion, whatever it is, on Activision, but it seems like they've kind of looking down the back of your couch for your marketing budget.
Yeah, I don't get it. I never have got it. Never have. It doesn't make any sense to you spend that much time and care trying to make these games, and then you just don't advertise them.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It does. No one understands that, man. No one.
And like everyone said, you obviously us who follow loads of gaming accounts on Twitter and YouTube accounts and things like that. Occasionally you'll see the YouTube ads, or you'll occasionally see a post on Twitter, but that's because we follow that. For Joe Public, you don't see any of that ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. True.
Mick, what's your thoughts on this whole, the declining sales of Xbox? Is it kind of in line with everybody else, or are you got any additional thoughts? You're muted.
You're on mute.
Sorry.
I will say before he starts, I don't think it's a worry. I still think because the whole
There's plenty of time left.
still
Yeah.
ahead of the Xbox.
I wouldn't say that. Honestly, the thing is about sales numbers is if this goes on too long, and Xbox sees a continued growth on PC, which they do because that's a platform they focus on these days. Yeah. But you don't see the growth on console. They will focus even less on console, and it will just speed things up. So no, I wouldn't agree there. I would say yes, it is a little worrisome that that they do have declining sales numbers, because we want a successful console,
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll rephrase that as to I'm not worried at this current moment.
Yeah. Yeah. If it continues, if it goes into another quarter and it's 18% down again, then
Yeah. When you start getting a pattern, that's when you need to worry.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Anyway, off you go, Mick.
Yeah. Oh, you're all right. It's a bit weird that they just don't seem to put much effort into the marketing, especially when, like you say, they've got so much money to spend on buying Activision and Bethesda and all the other companies that they bought. And it's not just Xbox as well. Microsoft buy all these other big companies that are also doing things as well. We've got this chat GBT thing going on that they've partnered with, and they're spending all this money. And at the moment, it feels like Bing has had more advertising than
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's just like the Xbox is in the corner going, hello.
Can we have a little bit of budget for the marketing, please, guys? Anything?
Yeah.
No.
So
I don't think we can blame on Terry Myerson anymore, can we?
No.
I mean, no. But I mean, if we didn't have Terry Myerson, this Activision thing would never have happened. Neither would the Bethesda thing. So good riddance to him anyway. But it is weird. And I was speaking to a guy who I work with. I found out the other day he's a gamer. He's got a PlayStation, and he's not your average PlayStation fan. He doesn't play God of War. He doesn't play Spider-Man. Doesn't play any of those games. He's a big Resi fan, and anything like that, Silent Hill, any of those games. And I just said to him,
Linden, is he?
No.
Who I work with is exactly the same.
Yeah, but he is. I wouldn't say he's a casual actually, but he likes his gaming, but he just likes what he likes.
Yeah. I've got a friend like that.
Happens to be Res.
Yeah.
Doesn't care about the console or nonsense.
Yeah, and I mentioned Starfield to him, and he went, "What's that?"
Yep.
And you're like, "Okay, have you heard of Elder Scrolls?" "Oh yeah, I've heard of Elder Scrolls." Right, it's the same people. All right. Oh, that'd be quite good. When's that coming out? And I had to then go, it's not coming out on PlayStation.
Yeah.
He was like, oh well, I won't be playing that one. So it's just like people don't even know.
Yeah.
Case in point to what you said. People don't even know. Like there's the ones lot that follow all these programs all these channels, all these, you know, these people that are on Twitter and that are involved in it all, we know because, you know, it's what we enjoy. We find these things out and we talk about it, but the rest of the world just doesn't know. And you think, how can you not be telling them?
Yeah.
These are the people that you want buying the fucking game. And if they don't even know about it, they're not going to buy it.
Yeah.
The problem, because we are kind of like, as much as I don't like being it, we are in kind of like a mini echo chamber.
Yeah,
In
absolutely.
terms of like,
Oh,
we know
absolutely.
what's going on. We keep our fingers on the pulse. But normal people don't.
Yeah.
And I would argue, he is the sort of person they want to be advertising to because he doesn't own an Xbox. He owns a PlayStation.
Exactly. Absolutely.
He's the person that you want to be
Absolutely.
focusing in on, going, look, here's this shiny, amazing thing we've got. Come to us and play it.
Yeah.
Didn't even know what it was.
Yeah. I want to circle back quickly as well because I forgot to read out Mr. Joanna Dark's super chats. And thank you for the $5 super chat, Mr. Joanna Dark. Completely. I seen it and then just went over my head for a second there. But he says, hello everyone. Do you think the Xbox Series consoles have a PS3 problem where the cell processor was hard to develop on?
Absolutely. Yeah. I said this in my video 2 months ago or so.
Yeah.
And I say it again. I do think we are at the point where all the tools that Xbox has are just too complicated for developers.
Yeah, too many tools.
They just are. Too many tools, too less documentation, too complicated to use, too many issues. If you do that, you are not compatible enough with other systems that don't have the cell processor. Yeah, that's just a thing then. And so, yeah, I do think the comparison is fair. I made it myself, and I stand by that. I think we have such an issue. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, I'd agree from a different standpoint. We know, first of all, they chose to, if you have a look at the way that they chose to do not just the split motherboard, obviously in the Series X, not the Series S. Series S is a pretty basic console to develop for. It is a standard platform. There is nothing untoward about it. The Series X, on the other hand, is a split motherboard setup, which means that it's in half, but they've also segmented off the RAM pool in the Series X, which they haven't done on the Series S, which is another thing. So they've said, okay, well, this is for this, and this can be used if you need more, and you didn't have enough on that one. So you kind of, it's a segmented approach that I think is causing some of these issues personally. But this, again, as Boxy mentioned as well, it's not just the tools, it's the amount. If you have a look at what PlayStation have got, it's a very basic setup. It is a very traditional developing setup on this platform. It's, again, he said it's absolute brute force on the PlayStation 5. It doesn't necessarily mean, again, if a developer uses every tool available on the Series X, then you will see a difference. That's if. But ultimately, developers are going to push for as much as they can possibly do with as little of the fuss in the background. They want to get out the best performance, the best looking games that they possibly can do with the tools that are available to them without going too far out and using proprietary tools that they haven't really been taught on. They don't quite understand. They don't know how to optimize or get the best out of. And all of that stuff just adds to development time. So really, it's a case of, is this potentially why we're seeing Hellblade 3, 4, 5 times in a row and not actually getting any further updates on it? Because they're one of the only studios implementing as many of these tools as possible, which is why it's taking longer. Is it a case of other studios are just going, no, and just getting out the game as we know it without using any of these tools? Are we going to get extended development times if they were to use every tool available from Xbox? And then that causes more issues because you're going to get far bigger delays in when games are coming out. You're going to have to get really on top of the game, the game management side of things. On, okay, so are we getting 2 or 3 games a year? The original The original promise of 4 games, 4 AAA games, 1 every quarter, is already gone. We still have to hold their feet to the fire for that. But if they can't use the tools because it's going to take too long to implement them, then that's counterproductive. So if they have to find a way internally of sorting out the tooling issue, because if you've got Xbox Velocity architecture, which is a thing but isn't being used, if you've got all of this cloud technology that is obviously a thing but isn't being used, if you've got sampler feedback streaming and mesh shading and all of that stuff that is a thing but isn't being used, what's the point? You've got all these fancy tools and none of the devs are making use of them because they probably don't know how to in an efficient manner. And the only people who know how to do that is the hardware team. What use is that? What use is it?
Yeah.
It's like going into a sweet shop. It's essentially
again,
like going into a sweet shop.
You cannot blame the
only
developers,
having a
and even
pound.
yeah, I mean, even the first-party studios have this issue. They bring out all these games on PC, so they have to make and develop the games for a platform that will not be able to support mesh shaders, that will not be able to use the Velocity architecture because it doesn't have them.
Yeah.
So you can implement those tools. Yes, you can. Yeah. And maybe they even get the time from Xbox to do so because, well, first party, yeah. But still, at the very end of the day, they have to find a way how these games will work on machines that do not support mesh shaders, that do not support sampler feedback streaming, that do not support all these things. And that's the minimum specs on PC. So we've said this before. This is what holds it back and makes it unattractive. And then, of course, if you look at third-party platforms, games, you also have to say, okay, look, the Resident Evil sales numbers are out. 60% of the numbers were sold on PlayStation, 15% or so on PC, and only I think it was around 20% have been sold on Xbox. That's just a harsh reality. So not many units have been sold there. So why would developers start to optimize for Xbox when they don't sell that many units on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So third party's never going to use the tools. They're never going to do it because it's not worth it. It's really, at this point, it's not worth using the tools because it's of no benefit to them when they've got to develop for 4 or 5 platforms. In terms of first party, again, it's about obviously if you're going to give them the extended time, then you are not going to achieve the original promises that you set out. You're not.
Yeah.
You're not going to have 1 game every quarter. You're not going to have 1 AAA game a quarter if you give them the extended time to make use of all your tools. Because the standard development time currently, between 4 to 6 years, 7 at a push, is clearly not enough time for them to implement everything Xbox's tool housing has to offer.
Absolutely. Absolutely not. Yeah. Spot on.
And then you've got fan backlash because of it. It's as simple as that. Then you have fan backlash because it's a case of you got the whole rhetoric around wait for E3. Of course, there's no more E3 anymore, so you'll be waiting a long time. But you can't just be okay. But the next showcase, okay. But the next, we've had this many times before. You can't go back to that rhetoric. You have to continue to put games out at a high quality that perform well. You can't be pulling basic features out that you should be expected on this day and age, man. When there's PCs that are of much, as Boxy pointed out, much lower quality PCs, 1080s, 2060s, etc., that are putting out 60 frame games at 2K, 1080p, ultra resolution. Like, when that is happening on PC, but the console isn't, that's an issue. It's a major issue that they need to resolve.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, sure.
Dear me. What?
Xbox doesn't come across very well this week, man.
No.
Sorry for all the Xbox negativity on here, dude.
I know, but we have to hold the feet to the fire when it's required. We have to
Yeah.
do it. It's we can't.
True.
When they do something well, we'll give them praise. When they don't, we have to call it out. It's you can't have one or the other. It has to be both.
Yeah.
And we'll always hold them to that. And I know anyone who listens, and there's a few that do that work for Xbox and have listened to this. I know they don't shy away from the fact, and they don't hate the fact that we give them this criticism.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of those people don't make the upper management choices. Ultimately, that falls on their heads to make those big decisions, not everybody in between. And they need to start making those big decisions. One slight positive from Xbox this week. One slight positive that could help them with the marketing. Could. They announced this week as well that the Xbox Game Pass is now available in 40 new destinations. 40 new countries have now got access to Xbox Game Pass after coming out of the trial period. It is now there fully for 40 nations, so it is now available. Now again, the stipulation here is if they advertise it to those
If they let
nations.
people know that it's available.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it is a step in the right direction. One thing we had called them out on was localization. Now, naturally, what you don't want is things like Microsoft rewards, Xbox rewards, Game Pass not being available in 90% of the world and only being available in major destinations such as the US, such as Mexico and Brazil, and the UK and Central Europe. When you exclude Eastern Europe and Northern Europe out of a lot of these things, and they still to this day don't have a lot of localization, that becomes an issue. That is one of their major things that they needed to get on top of. This is a step in the right direction in terms of localization, but there's a lot to be done. A lot that is required to kind of go another step further. But what do you make of 40 new destinations being added to Game Pass, Boxy?
It's cool, man. It's cool. Like you said, it's localization, globalization is also one thing that Xbox is really lacking of, and that Nintendo and PlayStation simply do better. And this is, of course, a good step in the right direction. Is it the right signal to send to your customers and fans in this week, where they basically said, okay, listen, guys, I know you like to play on console, but we don't care about the console, which is basically what they did with Redfall.
Yeah.
So is it the right time to announce, yeah, guys, we have new, for PC, we're boosting PC Game Pass. Come on, let's give him that. It is a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing for gamers, and that is what matters.
Yeah.
That more gamers get to enjoy Game Pass. So yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, like I say, it's a bit. Ultimately, it's not just about Game Pass; it's just localization in general, and this is part of the localization stuff. You can't have a segmented fan base. Essentially, PlayStation don't. Like PlayStation Plus is available everywhere. It's available for every user. This isn't something that has been available for every user on Xbox. So when you've got an Xbox ecosystem where only a part of the world has one of your major selling points that you've been trying to push, which is Game Pass, and the other half don't, it's kind of it's a split console. It's like saying, oh well, only Central Europe's going to get Halo, but the North America's not. Like, why you wouldn't do that? So these are basic steps that should have been taken a while ago. And I don't know why. I still don't know personally why they have to do trial periods in areas for services. You roll them out or you don't. It's if they work in one area, you just roll them out. I don't know why they need to do trial, and they're currently doing trials on friends and family. Like, it's a really easy
the
concept.
family Game Pass thing. Yeah. It's a good point, man.
It's a really easy concept.
I don't know.
You've got like I know
Honestly.
you understand you have to do like find out some of the back things where maybe it's associating people might have an issue, but you can iron those out. That's a pretty easy thing to iron out, but it shouldn't need all of the rigmarole that goes about it, where it's like 6 months worth of R&D and testing on the back end with select users. Nah, just roll it out. Let's get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
But overall, it's a positive step on
it's
the
a good thing.
localization. But
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing for gamers, so I'm happy with it. And
yeah, definitely. And of course, it doesn't really affect any of us here, but it does mean that we'll probably end up getting to play with a lot more people from a lot more different countries if you're an online
which is
player.
good.
Yeah.
Again, I'm always pro moves that help gamers.
And you know what it is, Boxy? It could be why some of these Age of Empires 4 things have been getting difficult. All of these new PC Game Pass players playing Age 4. It could be some really good Age players on there.
There you go. New strategies to learn, man.
Exactly.
New strategies.
New strategies. All the Vikings are coming online now. From Norway.
Yeah, man.
Oh, dear me.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, there's positives to it.
Bring
especially for
it,
online
guys.
players.
Bring it. I'm ready.
Mick, what do you think of this minor bit of good news in this week of bad news for Xbox? Muted again.
Sorry. Yeah, I think it's good. It was interesting that they also posted that there was a partnership with EA as well to help bring PC. It specifically said PC games to people as well. So that kind of implied that they were going to be doing the PC sort of streaming as well.
Yeah.
So that's good because I know they did say that was going to be coming. So there's been a few instances where I thought, it would be quite nice to be able to stream some of these PC games. Interesting that they went with EE as well, which is quite handy for me because I'm with EE. So
yeah.
But yeah, no. All in all, it's great to see. Assuming that they actually bother to tell anyone it's there.
Yeah. But like I say, the ultimate thing is,
Going
and I
back
think
to-
people don't realise this because, of course, I see comments in the chat there saying shilling for Game Pass. No, it's not. It's not shilling for Game Pass at all. When your competitor's already got their major service, PS Plus, everywhere, and you don't, that needs fixed.
Yeah.
And it's now starting to roll out everywhere. Simple as that.
Yeah.
PlayStation already has PS Plus everywhere. So simple.
Yeah.
Basic stuff.
What
You just-
about Game Pass on console?
Yeah.
Is Game Pass available on console in all regions where the console has launched?
Not all consoles as yet. No. Not all areas as yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I say, it's a step in the right direction in terms of localization. But there's a lot more to do. Like I say, marketing's the biggest one, but there's a lot more to do on localization front. A lot more to do. I don't think there's need really any addition to that there. There is one major development in the UK. It only applies, I think, primarily for the likes of the CMA and things like that. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference to anybody else. It probably means these mobile network, anyone on this mobile network might benefit from it. But again, it's something that's already available anyway. Of course, Microsoft also this week agreed a 10-year deal with UK phone provider EE. Now, for those who don't know EE that are from the US or from Central Europe or European countries, you will know BT. BT are the parent company. They own EE. Of course, BT's humongous. They've agreed a 10-year deal with them on the cloud strategy front. Now, of course, that means it brings Game Pass to EE customers for 10 years at least. The only benefit there for customers is that they're able to add Game Pass on top of their monthly mobile subscription and not pay for it elsewhere, essentially. That is the benefit that comes there from a Microsoft perspective, which is exactly what it is. It's not to do with us, really. It's not to do with anybody else. This isn't a Joe Public deal on the grand scheme of things. This is something that they're going to use, again, for the CMA in the EU in order to get this transaction put forward for Activision Blizzard. Simple as that. It's a really basic deal. You'll see many of them. I wouldn't be surprised if you see more of them from big European telecoms places. And again, when you get into the US, they'll probably have some form of US version of that deal as well with one of the biggest telecom providers over there to do the same thing. But yeah, I didn't want to really touch too much on that topic because it isn't. Again, I'm A, sick of talking about the bloody takeover, and B, this doesn't affect us at all. This thing that has happened, great for Xbox, Microsoft, in terms of their marketing that they'd never use, but for Joe Public it means nothing really, unless you're with EE, and then you can add the subscription to your mobile plan if you want to. It's really basic.
I will say this though: if you want a company that can do marketing, mobile phone companies, they know marketing because they flood TV, newspaper, magazines, everything with marketing. So if you want to actually get word out, a mobile phone company is a good way to go.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And EE, to be fair, EE will be probably the ones pushing this on TV.
They probably do more than
yeah,
Xbox.
They'll be doing more marketing for Xbox than Xbox will. Absolutely. Yeah. They'll have that all over the place. All of their mobile plans going forward will be get 12-month subscription to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate when you get a new contract. That's what their pop-ups are going to be now when you get a new contract with them, and that's what they'll be offered. Spotify or Game Pass, what do you want? That's essentially what happens there. Or Sky Sports. But moving on anyway. Another announcement on the Sony front this week is a state of play. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on whether or not you're looking forward to this particular game, the state of play is focused solely on Final Fantasy XVI, not any other title. If you're interested in seeing more of Final Fantasy XVI, having seen already a fair chunk of it, then on Thursday, midnight I think it is, in Europe, 11 o'clock UK time, there is going to be a state of play that shows off 20 minutes of new gameplay footage for Final Fantasy XVI. Now, of course, there is still the rumoured PlayStation showcase for June. That is meant to be taking place before the Summer Game Fest events, etc. But we shall still wait and see. But Boxy, is Final Fantasy 16 something you've considered or looked at? Is this interesting
I'm
at all?
actually excited for it.
Yeah.
I know why people that people kind of like to hate on it. Honestly, I don't know why. It looks fantastic, beautiful. It has this, fantastical, magical vibe to it that we love about a Final Fantasy, more so than Final Fantasy 15. And I really enjoyed 15, honestly. 15 had a problem with its beginning, like that the first 3 or 4 chapters of the game where you had these bro dudes driving around in the Battaglia, or what it was called, the car.
Yeah, Retalia. Yeah.
Retalia, exactly. But it became really good after the 4th act or so, and then I really enjoyed it. However, I've kind of felt I missed a little bit this, the magic.
Yeah.
What makes Final Fantasy, and I get those vibes with the new one. I know they have moved away from turn-based combat. Honestly, I kind of prefer it. When I look at the Final Fantasy VII remake, they had still like this turn-based elements in the real-time combat system, which was awesome. And everything we've seen is that this is just a further evolution of this one. You have real-time combat, but you can pause in the combat to choose, your spells, your potions, whatever. Awesome. Awesome. I don't know. I don't get the hate. I know it's popular to hate on Square these days, but yeah.
I think
I'm
from an
looking forward
Xbox
to see
perspective,
it.
from an Xbox perspective, I can understand why specifically Xbox fans that don't own a PlayStation would be, because they want to be able to play it. And after the beginning of the generation, where they brought all of the historic Final Fantasies over, and they brought kind of some like Final Fantasy 10 and 12 to the platform for the first time ever, and they got Kingdom Hearts 3 over, and then the previous Kingdom Hearts. Like, they brought all of this stuff over, and now the most that they've got is Crisis Core, and they don't get access to the Final Fantasy remake, the Final Fantasy remake Part 2
That's true.
Rebirth. They don't get Final Fantasy 16 or 14. So I can understand why on Xbox side, specific Xbox fans have an issue. But yes. Yeah, I've just seen as well there, just before I continue, Shom, you need to jump off because you've got work. So I'll I'll let you say your goodbyes first. I'll let people know where they can find you, brother.
I'm up at 4 tomorrow, so the joys of my job.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm be back when I can. Just depends on what the shift is like. As is the joys of being a grown up and being able to choose how I buy my games or rent my games as well. You know, it's a bit of being a grown up. And having a job. So yeah, I will catch you guys later. And enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you very much. Have an awesome
Go on,
evening,
love.
sir. I'll transition over this. Unfortunately, I think the gameplay. Oh no, it doesn't start again. Thank God for that. That's a we. Oh yes, I haven't set. Let's get this sorted first
Still
before we
on there.
continue. There we go. There we go. Much better. Right. And before I continue, thanks for the super chat, Lord Metroid. $2 super chat there. He said Final Fantasy 16 looks like it went back to its roots. I'll let Boxy continue before we do anything else. And shout out to Kiyosanti as well.
I want to shout exactly. I want to shout out what Kiyosanti said in the chat.
Yeah.
Maybe the hate comes from the fact that the game director is a racist schmuck.
Yeah.
The
The wording the word
facts.
yeah. It's absolutely undeniable that you can't have these positions in this day and age, and unfortunately he's went public with that, saying that POC essentially don't exist in his world, and that his world is more realistic. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. The entire marketing wording around this and the things that Dave said could absolutely be or is definitely something that ties into why people hate on the game. And it's a fair point. It's a fair point. That I give him that. Also, the fact, of course, that it's on an Xbox. And like you said, outside of Crisis Core, we've not seen anything from Square as of late.
Well, yeah, specifically the Japanese studios anyway. The Western studios, of course, before they bin them off. Of course, we still get those things, but Western games we don't get the Japanese.
No.
Yeah, no.
We even saw that with Octopath Traveler 2 skipping the platform, despite it being on the platform for the first one.
Which is a real bummer, honestly.
Yeah.
I really liked the first one.
To me, it seems...
spent more than 80 hours on this.
Oh, yeah, it's a huge game. And it seems, to me personally, at this point, it seems like the Xbox and Square relationship has really soured. That's what it feels like to me. It doesn't feel like it's anything to do with Sony at this point. It feels like there's something really went wrong with the Square Enix Japanese side and Xbox.
We have Kiyosanti on the World of Gaming tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know? And we're going to discuss this because Jess Gordon had to say something on this Square relationship. And we're going to make this a topic tomorrow. Because, yeah, there is definitely something to this. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I still want to see more.
Yep.
Yeah, so
I've seen a lot of people as well, and I agree with that point as well, to be honest, because there is a fine line between showing your game off and showing too much of your game before it's released. And I think at the minute there's a lot of development companies that show far too much, especially when it's a big game like that, might have too many showings of the game before it releases, to the point where you're just like, yeah, I just want the game. Like, I don't need like 7 different gameplay showcases of the game. Like, you've showed us the combat, you showed us the story basis, you've showed us this, you showed us the monsters. I've seen enough. Just like, I just want the game now. And this isn't just Square. It's multiple times. Like even Redfall, if you think about it, how many times have we seen Redfall now? And even now, they're doing all these multiple little trailers on Twitter, like, consistently. And
You have never seen Redfall like you will play it in 30 FPS.
oh, hey, you are correct. We have never seen Redfall in 30 FPS, but we will shortly.
There's still so much to be revealed. Yeah, how the game. No, but I get your point, man. I get your point. The thing about Final Fantasy is also the release date. Yeah, I just won't have time, honestly. Yeah. It's June, right after Diablo 4.
Yeah,
So-
we're gonna be deep in Diablo.
And that game will gonna consume me.
Yeah.
I want to have Dead Island and Jedi Fallen, Jedi Survivor. So.
Yeah. Jedi Survivor for
I
me.
will have finished them
Yeah.
by the game by the time Diablo comes out. I need to. So that's honestly that's really the reason why. Okay, holding off on Redfall isn't the biggest deal, because again, Jedi Survivor comes out a couple of days before Redfall, so I'm gonna play that until Zelda Tears of a Kingdom comes out.
as well.
I'm gonna play that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then Diablo. So
Yeah, we're in a lucky position. Like, all 3 of us are in a lucky position where we have access to all 3 platforms, so we can play everything.
yes,
Of course, the reason we specifically had to call out Xbox was because there is a lot of people that are not in that fortunate position where they can play everything. So unlike us, where we can go, yeah, we're just going to play Jedi and we'll wait on Redfall, or we're just going to play Jedi and then Zelda and wait on Redfall. A lot of people just simply can't do that. They don't have the means to do that, so we have to call out Xbox for that thing, because specifically for them and for the Xbox only players, it's a massive letdown. So on the Final Fantasy front, from me, I am again, and this is such specifically Final Fantasy fans, much like your Halo diehards and things like that, are such a very aggressive breed when it comes to saying that you don't want it for certain reasons. They go down your throat. But for me specifically, for Final Fantasy XVI, there's a number of reasons why I'm not looking forward to it personally. Primarily for me, it is the fact that they've, although there is a party that joins you, that's not really a controllable party, so they've done away with kind of the party mechanics that I've known and loved Final Fantasy IV previously. It isn't your turn-based JRPGs, and I love turn-based JRPGs. Now, I understood the Final Fantasy VII Remake version of it, which was a hybrid system. I understood and relatively enjoyed the hybrid system that was in Final Fantasy 15. I can kind of get with that. But when you remove that turn-based system entirely and it's literally just action adventure, then that kind of detracts from what Final Fantasy was to me when I was growing up. And that's my thing. I'm a stickler for that kind of thing. I loved, like, my top Final Fantasies are 6, 9, and then 7. 7 being the third best, and that was only after I'd played Final Fantasy 9 did I make that decision. But 6, 9, and 7, and those were my ultimate kind of favorite Final Fantasies of all time. And then, of course, you're talking about the pixel remasters, which, okay, they're nice looking and things like that, but I don't need them. So Final Fantasy 16 for me, it was more, and as Jason puts in the chat there, more of a Devil May Cry-esque thing. So for those that are loving that kind of Devil May Cry-esque action game, then I think this is going to be kind of right up your street, and I think it'll bring a lot more players into the Final Fantasy series being the way it is now with Final Fantasy XVI, with its action-oriented combat and its more hands-on approach than it would have done ever being a turn-based RPG. And I think that's why they've ultimately made the changes, because they want to appeal to a wider scope of gamers. And I applaud them for that. But as somebody who's grown up on Final Fantasy and loved the turn-based element of it, like as in Octopath Traveler, like as in a number of other Square games, I'd much rather that, personally for me, than the Devil May Cry action-adventure approach to it. It's not to say the game doesn't look beautiful, because the game does look beautiful. It looks like it's going to hopefully run very well. But for me on this occasion, Final Fantasy 16 isn't what I was looking for, so I will be passing on it. You never know in the future, I might pick it up on sale or something and see whether or not I missed out on it, but I'll be passing on it initially. When are you ultimately going to pick it up then, Boxy? Is it something that you're going to get in a sale later down the line, or
in a deep sale?
A deep sale, yeah.
Again, it's like starting end of April, we're gonna be so busy. Even if you skip Redfall now, you're gonna be so busy with all the games that come out. Dying Light 2 is also gonna come out. Then again, of course, Diablo. Then, of course, there's also the summertime, which is simply a little bit more time outside. And then we are already in September, man. It's Starfield time. So, at 30 FPS.
At 30 FPS. Yeah. Oh, if we don't laugh, we'll cry.
Dear me.
If we don't laugh, we'll cry. Dear me.
Yeah.
But, yes. Mick, your thoughts on Final Fantasy 16? Is the action version of this, instead of turn-based combat, something that's more interesting to you, or?
So I thought I fell off Final Fantasy after sort of 8 and 9 were my favorites. And then after 10, I sort of just thought, nah, I'm done. And I haven't really been back to it since. I thought when 15 came out, when they went more action-based, I thought, oh, maybe I'll be in for this, because a turn-based thing just is a big turn-off for me now.
Yeah.
I went back and played it, and didn't vibe with it at all. That whole bromance kind of thing that was going on in Final Fantasy 15 got boring really quick for me.
I have a new recipe.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. So unfortunately for me, I'm still out on the Final Fantasy thing. It doesn't appeal to me at all. So I won't be getting it. I mean, it's not. I don't have a PS5 anyway. But even if it came on PC at some point, it's not something I don't think I'll be bothering with. So no, I'm out on that one, I'm afraid.
That's fair. And like I say, thankfully in between, we are massive indie gamers as well. So there's a lot of indie games coming out in between all of these huge AAAs that we're super looking forward to. Of course, you've got Last Case of Benedict Fox. You've got Ravenlock. You've got a whole host of other games as well, like your Stalkers and things like that coming later on in the year. And there's loads of third-party and ID games that are coming out that are going to be absolutely amazing. But in terms of AAA offerings, third parties kind of, as you've mentioned there, Dying Light 2, Dead Island 2, not Dying Light 2, Dead Island 2, followed by, as a lot of people are playing, Jedi Survivor, and we'll all be playing that day one, and I can't wait for it. And then you've got your Redfall at 30, and then you've got your Diablo, which obviously had its network issues at first, but in terms of actual gameplay, was awesome. So I'm super hyped for that. And then you've got whatever happens after that between Starfield, but ultimately then Starfield after that. And for those on PlayStation, you've got Final Fantasy 16. You've got Stellar Blade. You've got Spider-Man 2 when that releases later on this year. So there's a lot of awesome games coming out, but ultimately we need to hope that A, there's no more delays, and B, the performance issues of these games aren't being. There's not. We have to hope. We have to hope at this point that Microsoft learn from the what has been a kind of a massive kickback on social media just today surrounding Redfall's 30 FPS, and that is an outlier and not the kind of common denominator. Because if they go into future titles and 30 is what is kind of being shown off as a base, whether that be Starfield or anything else that releases this year outside of Redfall, that can't then there's severe issues. Redfall has to be just an outlier this year. If they get on top of that and every other game releases at 60, then that's fine, but it needs to be corrected and sharpish. And Microsoft have to ultimately take that on board. But yeah, there we go. I think that pretty much wraps up today's show, gents. It does. We've covered literally every topic, which is awesome. Usually we kind of get through a couple and miss out one, but we've covered everything. We've been full of rants today, but it is required. Of course, I didn't expect this to be one of the major burning topics, to be discussing performance issues already. This far into a generation after so many bloody promises that have been broken, but here we go again. But it's been an awesome show. I've seen an awesome load of new people and new faces in the chat, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Again, we have to be objective when it comes to preferred platforms or not. We have to call them out on issues, whether that's PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, PC, whatever it is. If there's issues, we'll have to call it out where it is. And likewise, we'll also call out the great things, the game releases, the awesome games, whether that's your God of Wars, whether that's your Hi-Fi Rushes, whether that's your Diablos, whether that's your Spider-Mans. When there's good games released, we'll give them the praise that they're duly noted. But when things go wrong, we'll call it out for what it is. But ultimately, thank you to everybody in the chat for joining. Thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for all the chats. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And of course, if you did, like and share it out and subscribe if you don't already. But let's get into our outros. Boxy, you're back to the grind again this week. You're back on the podcasting journey with myself tomorrow. Let people know where they can find you and
absolutely
what we've got in store.
Yeah, man, we have an awesome show coming up tomorrow. The World of Gaming on my YouTube channel at 8 p.m. Central Europe, 7 p.m. UK time, or 2 p.m. Eastern. And we have the absolute honor, Dutch, to welcome Kaya Sunday tomorrow.
We do indeed.
It's gonna be awesome. We have always great discussions with him, so cannot wait to have him on. And of course, we're gonna cover a lot of things that we talked about today, but we have also a couple of things that others podcasts didn't cover. So it's gonna be an awesome show, man. And I cannot wait. And other than that, I see you guys next week on here.
You shall indeed. You shall indeed. And last but not least, of course, Mick. Let people know where they can find you, brother, and what you've got coming up.
Yeah, Xbox Mick 29 on Twitter and the usual places, and Xbox Mick on the Xbox if you want to add me there. Just see it Tuesdays if I can get the bloody OBS working.
We'll get that sorted over the weekend. We'll get it done.
Yeah. I'm thinking I might have to reset the PC again. But yeah, we'll get that sorted. So hopefully that'll be on again soon. Hopefully next Tuesday, and then Sundays with Sightless Combat, playing what other games we're up to. So yeah, that's about it. And obviously here with yourself and Boxy and everybody else that comes.
Awesome stuff. Awesome. And for everybody that isn't aware, we have an awesome, what's known as the Community Indie Showcase, which is a yearly event now. Of course, it's the third year running, so it's a Community Indie Showcase where we showcase the newest indie games coming out and those early in development. So you see brand new trailers, new releases, new unveilings, first essentially world premieres of certain indie games. Developers are involved, giveaways. We have people that work for certain platforms taking part, and we've got awesome content creators from across the socials that you'll know and love that take part every year. Some of the key highlights, for those who don't follow me on Twitter as well, the show is 2.5 hours long this year. So we've got 2 shows, one in spring, which is the 22nd of April, and we've got one in September. Obviously, the 22nd of April, we have, it's 2.5 hours long, so 2.5 hours long. There are 85 games showcased on the April showcase. We've got 7 content creators. We've got several developers involved, and of course, we've got a special guest in there as well. So lots to kind of see and love, lots to enjoy. There's going to be some really high quality stuff in there that looks AAA, even though it's indie. There's going to be obviously some awesome little pixel games and things like that, but it's ranging in every indie size, from the smallest of the small one-man developer all the way through to big kind of 20, 30, 40 people's indie studios. So, yeah, hope you enjoy it. The link is already on the channel for those to kind of set a reminder for it. Yeah, it's starting to do the publicity push for it now, going into that final week. I'm looking forward to it. It's getting nervy, but I hope everybody enjoys it. But until then, guys, I hope you have an awesome evening. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you did, thank you very much. Until then, enjoy your gaming, no matter what platform you're on. Have an awesome evening, and we shall see you all again next week. Goodbye.
Take care.
See ya.
Ice and flame, call my name. I freeze, I burn, I blame. I love, I hate the same. On my face, I cannot hide from the mistake my parents made. I'm never moving on. Not made from love, a remnant of a selfish motive. Was I needed? Do I need it to go wrong? Polarized, inherent pain pumping through my veins. Ice and flames, call my name. I freeze, I burn, I blame. I love, I hate the same. If I embrace the side of me, I only fuel the fire. But is it wrong for me to fight against the balance of my power? History in halves, one brain. I will break the chain. Oh no, tokori wa yobu. Moeru rame koru to boku no ai to kirai ni iru. Oh no, tokori wa yobu. Moeru rame koru to boku no ai to kirai ni iru. I love, I hate the same. Did I brush you off?